Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. It's a sign that something is broken that words can't fix. When someone stops talking to you, let them be. Silence is a loud message that they are not ready to share. People may walk out of your life, but it doesn't mean they were meant to stay. Cherish the memories, but don't chase the silence. The hardest part about losing someone isn't saying goodbye. It's watching them choose to leave without a word. Sometimes, the most painful goodbyes are the ones never said, but left unspoken. When communication stops, it's not always the end, but a pause for reflection. You can't force someone to stay in your life. If they stop talking to you, maybe it's time to start listening to yourself. Silence is the true friend that never betrays. Sometimes, the absence of a message is a message in itself. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, but sometimes it means accepting that the relationship has changed. When someone stops talking to you, it's their way of saying they don't care enough to make it work. Sometimes, the silence between two people is so loud that it drowns out everything else. It hurts the most when the person who made you feel so special yesterday makes you feel so unwanted today. When someone cuts you out of their life without explanation, let it be your closure. People change and sometimes they leave, but it's important to not take it personally. The moment you feel like you have to prove your worth to someone is the moment to walk away. Silence is a source of great strength, but it can also be a source of great pain. Don't chase people. If they choose to walk away, let them. Your destiny is never tied to someone who leaves you. Sometimes, the closure you need is in realizing that you deserve better. The silence of a friend who suddenly disappears can be more painful than the betrayal of an enemy. When someone who is important to you suddenly stops talking, it may be time to reevaluate their importance. Letting go is hard, but sometimes holding on is even harder. You can't control someone's silence, but you can control how you respond to it. People who are meant to be in your life will never leave you wondering why they stopped talking to you. Sometimes you need to walk away, not because you stopped caring, but because they stopped deserving your attention. The worst kind of silence is when someone who used to talk to you every day stops without explanation. It's better to be alone than to be with someone who makes you feel alone. When someone chooses to stay silent, it doesn't always mean they don't care. It means they've said all they can. The saddest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from your enemies. Sometimes, the person you take a bullet for is the one pulling the trigger. When someone stops talking to you, it's often because they've outgrown the relationship, not because you did anything wrong. The hardest thing to do is to watch the one you love walk away without explaining why. Some people are meant to be in your life for a season, and their silence is a sign that their season has ended. The silence of a loved one can be the loudest cry for help, but sometimes you have to let them find their own voice. When someone stops talking to you, it's their way of telling you they've moved on, and it's time for you to do the same. It's better to be ignored than to be lied to. The silence that comes after a fight is often more hurtful than the fight itself. When someone stops talking to you, don't chase after them. If they cared, they would have stayed. Silence can be a blessing in disguise, giving you the time to reflect on what truly matters. Sometimes, the most painful part of a relationship is realizing that it's over when the other person stops communicating. If someone stops talking to you, it might be because they can't find the right words to say goodbye. Silence can be a powerful message, but it can also be a sign of cowardice. When someone stops talking to you, it's a clear sign that they're no longer invested in the relationship. People may choose to leave, but it's up to you to choose how to respond to their absence. When someone stops talking to you, it's their loss, not yours. The pain of losing someone who meant everything to you is amplified when they leave without a word. When communication breaks down, it's often a sign that the relationship wasn't as strong as you thought. Sometimes, the silence between two people speaks volumes about their true feelings. When someone stops talking to you, it's not a reflection of your worth, but of their inability to appreciate it. The silence of someone you love can be a reminder that sometimes you have to love yourself more.